pressure mounts for Brexit backer Arron Banks to explain his links to the Kremlin amid claims he held undisclosed meetings with diplomats. A prominent Brexit campaigner is facing calls to explain his links with the Kremlin following claims his contacts with Moscow officials were more extensive than previously admitted. Arron Banks, the founder of Nigel Farage's Leave.EU group, held undisclosed meetings with Russian embassy officials around the time of the 2016 referendum campaign, it was reported. Emails showed Mr. Banks, a Donald Trump supporter, also discussed a potential business deal involving 6 Russian gold mines with Ambassador Alexander Yakovenko, the Sunday Times said. Last night the head of a parliamentary inquiry into fake news said the report raised serious questions about Russian interference in UK politics. Tory MP Damian Collins, chairman of the Digital, Culture, Media and Sport Committee, told BBC One's Sunday Politics programme, "The question I think people will want answered is, did Mr. Banks profit out of these meetings? Did that happen? Did he make money out of it and did he use that money to fund his campaigns?" Asked about the report at the G7 summit in Quebec on Saturday, Prime Minister Theresa May said, "I am sure that if there are any allegations that need investigation the proper authorities will do that." Mr. Collins confirmed that Mr. Banks has agreed to give evidence to the Digital, Culture, Media and Sport Committee as planned on Tuesday, having previously said he was pulling out. Labour MP Stephen Kinnock also called for Scotland Yard to launch a criminal probe. Last night Mr. Banks told the Daily Mail he had already written about 2 meetings with the Russian ambassador in the paperback version of his book, The Bad Boys of Brexit. "I didn't profit at all from this," he said. "This is just yet more generalized discrediting of the Brexit camp. I have every intention of robustly speaking to Mr. Collins on Tuesday." Arron Banks has been dubbed the man who bought Brexit for bankrolling Nigel Farage's campaign to leave the EU. The businessman has donated millions to UKIP and in 2016 he backed Mr. Farage's Leave.EU group. He was pictured alongside Donald Trump when the president met Nigel Farage in New York just days after his shock U.S. election victory in November 2016. But now he is facing calls to explain a series of alleged meetings with Russian embassy officials. Mr. Banks, 52, made his fortune from the Bristol-based insurance broker Brightside, which he founded. He then went on to launch another firm, Go Skippy, and is now said to be worth £100 million. He is married to Russian Ekaterina Paderina and has 5 children. Originally a modest Tory donor, in 2014 he defected to UKIP in desperation at David Cameron's stance on Europe. Former Conservative leader William Hague made the mistake of describing Mr. Banks as somebody we haven't heard of following his defection, prompting him to up his donation to £1 million. Mr. Banks said at the time, "I woke up this morning intending to give £100,000 to UKIP, then I heard Mr. Hague's comment about me being a Mr. Nobody." He added, "So in light of that, I have decided to give £1 million. He may be investigating fake news but the biggest fake news mill is Parliament." The Sunday Times said emails it had seen from Mr. Banks and Leave.EU communications chief Andy Wigmore showed they had repeated contacts with Russian officials to discuss matters of mutual interest throughout and after the EU referendum.